Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung wrote that. But what if what irritates you about others is exactly what you've been repressing in yourself? What you're about to discover here will absorb your mind and transform your heart. There's a secret hidden by all of society that only fearless empaths have access to. A secret that exposes why your sensitivity is the greatest weapon you carry, even without knowing it. You're tired of being underestimated, ignored, used, of having to hide who you really are just to survive? Enough. In this video, you'll discover how to break the cycle of pain that ties you to the past, stained by betrayals and hidden manipulations. The 3 proven stages to stop being a victim and become master of your own emotional life. Surgical precision techniques that awakened empaths use to detect and disarm emotional attacks before they happen. The painful and liberating path of shadow integration, which will transform your internal chaos into sovereign power. How your greatest wound can be your catapult to a life of incomparable leadership, respect, and self-confidence. This isn't a video for those seeking quick comfort or magical solutions. It's for those who have the courage to face the naked truth and emerge stronger than ever. But I must warn you, once your perception is activated, you'll never be the same again. And that's the promise, a total, deep, and irreversible transformation. Are you ready to activate the hidden power of your sensitivity? If yes, stay with me. If not, this video isn't for you. The truth no one tells you about empaths. Listen carefully to this first devastating truth. Jung discovered something that society tries to hide at all costs. Sensitive people aren't natural victims. They're natural strategists waiting to awaken. And when they awaken, they completely change the game. For decades, in Jung's clinic in Zurich, he documented a transformation that terrified him, not because it was rare, but because of the brutal intensity of the change he witnessed. You who always give more than you receive, this section is especially for you. Imagine Maria, one of Jung's patients. At 35, she had spent her entire life being the strong one in the family. She absorbed her alcoholic father's rage, swallowed her own tears to comfort her mother, carried the weight of family harmony on her shoulders. She arrived at the office exhausted, blaming herself for feeling too much. But Jung saw what she couldn't see. Maria wasn't empty. She was overflowing with psychological information that most people can never access. First question that will mess with you. Why do people always seek you out in difficult moments, but rarely in moments of joy? The answer will shock you. You are an emotional archaeologist and didn't know it. Prepare for this revelation. Jung tested this scientifically. He brought strangers to his office, telling empaths nothing about them. Within minutes, these empaths identified childhood traumas, relationship patterns, deep insecurities. Accuracy rate, 95%. You're not psychic. You're a sophisticated emotional data processor. Pedro, another patient, developed an even frightening ability. He could predict how difficult conversations would end before they even began. When my wife makes that specific expression, I know the argument will last exactly 23 minutes. She'll mention my mother at minute 15, and it will end with me apologizing. The precision was disturbing. Second provocation. Have you ever had that feeling of knowing something about someone without being able to explain how? This is not coincidence. It's your emotional supercomputer in action. But here's what made Jung's hands tremble.
These empaths never used this knowledge strategically. They knew exactly where to press to cause maximum pain, but chose to absorb the pain instead of retaliating. Until something changed everything. The brutal awakening, when the empath stops being a victim. You deserve to know the truth. Stop hiding what you feel. Jung identified a pattern that will make you rethink everything. Every empath has their moment of brutal awakening. It doesn't happen gradually. It explodes all at once. The trigger? Always betrayal. Not just any betrayal. Betrayal from whomever the empath most protected, most loved, most forgave. Maria discovered that her husband wasn't just cheating on her for years, but used her insecurities as jokes with his mistress. 15 years of marriage, 15 years being used as an emotional repository. When she confronted her husband, he did what manipulators always do. You're too sensitive. It was always paranoia. Enough of this brainwashing. Third devastating question. Have you ever had that moment of absolute clarity where you finally saw a situation exactly as it was? That's the moment of awakening. Everyone expected Maria to cry, scream, beg. She became frighteningly calm. It was like a fog had lifted from her mind, she later reported. Suddenly, I could see not just what had happened, but the entire pattern, how he had manipulated me from the beginning.
Stage 1. Recognition. Empaths learn to identify their suppressed shadow aspects, not just their anger, but their intelligence, their strength, their right to have boundaries. Maria stopped apologizing for seeing things where supposedly there was nothing. She began recognizing that her sensitivity was a navigation tool, not a defect. Stage 2. Integration. Jung observed empaths merging their light and shadow aspects into what he called a complete self. They became people capable of extreme kindness with those who deserved it and relentless precision with those who didn't. Stage 3. Application. Integrated empaths learn to use their emotional intelligence strategically. They become psychological architects, people who can read, influence, and navigate human systems with supernatural precision. Fourth, transformative question. What would your life be like if you could detect manipulation before it happened? This ability isn't fantasy. It's reality for awakened empaths. Clinical cases, the transformations Jung documented. Now you'll learn details that few have had access to. The case of Elena, the nurse who became a strategist. Elena worked as a nurse in a hospital for 12 years, always first to arrive, last to leave, covered colleagues' shifts, took on extra responsibilities, never complained. She was loved by everyone and completely exhausted. When she discovered that colleagues had a WhatsApp group called Ward Suckers, where Elena was the main joke, something inside her broke definitively. She said, "Every time I covered your shifts when you were hungover, I mentally noted it. Every time I lied to supervisors to protect you, I remembered. And now I know exactly who each of you really is." Elena didn't quit. She completely restructured the department's dynamics, stopped doing favors, established crystal clear boundaries, and started documenting everything. In 6 months, 3 toxic colleagues were transferred, and Elena was promoted to supervisor. She said, "I didn't change my nature. I just stopped wasting it on people who didn't deserve it." The case of Ricardo, the businessman who discovered his power. Ricardo inherited the family business at 28.
For 5 years, he tried to please all the old employees, keeping incompetent people out of loyalty, absorbing constant complaints, being the nice boss. The company was going bankrupt, and he couldn't understand why. The transformation came when he discovered that his partner was embezzling money while publicly blaming him for poor management. Ricardo told Jung, "For years I absorbed all the tensions, all the conflicts, all the dissatisfactions. But when I stopped being the company's emotional punching bag, the true dynamic appeared." Ricardo spent 3 months observing coldly who really worked, who just created drama, who had potential, who was a parasite. He fired 40% of the staff, restructured processes. The company tripled in size in 2 years. Ricardo said, "My empathy didn't diminish, but now it has strategic direction." Fifth revealing question: how many toxic situations are you sustaining just out of fear of being evil? Daily practices to strengthen your empathic mind. Transformation without action is just fantasy. Here are the practical tools. Technique 1: the emotional radar diary. Every night for 10 minutes, write 3 situations where your intuition caught something others missed. How you reacted, protected yourself, or exposed yourself. What you would do differently knowing your power. This practice will reveal patterns you never imagined existed. Technique 2: the strategic presence meditation. Reserve 15 minutes daily to 1. Sit in complete silence. 2. Observe your thoughts without judgment. 3. Identify which emotions are yours and which you absorbed from others. 4. Practice energetic return, mentally returning what isn't yours. Technique 3: the active question exercise. In challenging conversations, use these phrases. Help me understand your perspective. What would you like to happen in this situation? How can I support without taking on responsibilities that aren't mine? Correct questions are weapons of clarification. Use them. Technique 4: the instant boundaries protocol. When you feel you're being used, pause for 5 seconds. Breathe deeply. Ask internally, is this my responsibility? If not, say, I understand your situation, but I can't take this on. Sixth practical question: which of these techniques will you implement first? The philosophy of individuation. Jung and the Empath's path. Are you living your own life or an edited version to please others? For Jung, every human being is born with a unique inner blueprint, a specific combination of gifts, challenges, and purposes. He called the process of discovering and living this blueprint individuation. But for empaths, individuation is especially difficult. Since childhood, you've been rewarded for feeling for others, caring for others, adapting to others. Your identity was built around others' needs. What do I want? Became a strange, almost selfish question. Jung discovered that empaths go through a unique existential crisis: how to be genuinely individual without losing the capacity for deep connection. The answer lies in radically understanding the difference between empathy and fusion. Empathy: you feel the other's pain, but maintain clarity that it's their pain, not yours. Fusion: you absorb the other's pain and believe it's your responsibility to heal it. Awakened empaths master empathy. Unconscious empaths live in fusion. Jung discovered that individuation for empaths involves 3 painful renunciations: renouncing the fantasy of saving everyone, renouncing the need to be loved by everyone, renouncing the belief that your sensitivity is weakness. Individuation isn't selfish, it's radical responsibility for your own existence. Seventh existential question. If you could live only for yourself without guilt, who would you be? Social impact. How your transformation changes everything. Cut toxic ties. Reclaim your peace now. When an empath awakens, the entire system around them goes into crisis. Jung documented this repeatedly. Entire families would enter chaos when the emotional absorber stopped functioning. Example, Carlos's family. Carlos was the youngest son, always mediating conflicts between parents, comforting siblings, being the balancer of family tensions. After transformation, Carlos established a rule: I will no longer mediate fights between you. If you want to resolve things, talk directly. The family exploded in anger. They called him selfish, insensitive, changed. But after 6 months, parents began communicating directly. Siblings developed individual relationships with him. Dynamics became more honest and less dramatic. After transformation, Fernanda implemented solution meetings instead of venting sessions. If you have a problem, come with at least 2 solution proposals. Don't come here just to complain anymore. In 3 months, productivity rose 60%. Interpersonal conflicts decreased dramatically. The team developed real autonomy. Fernanda said, "My empathy didn't die. It became intelligent." Eighth transformative question. Which systems in your life would collapse if you stopped sustaining others' dramas? Strategies for empaths in toxic environments. You can't always leave, but you can always protect yourself.
Strategy 1. The energetic shield. Before entering hostile environments, visualize a light barrier around you. Define mentally, I observe but don't absorb. Establish a cleansing ritual when leaving: shower, walk, music. Strategy 2. The neutral mirror technique. When someone tries to dump negativity on you, maintain neutral expression. Reflect back. You seem to be going through a difficult time. Don't offer solutions or absorb the drama. Strategy 3. Strategic documentation. In toxic work environments, note everything: dates, conversations, behaviors. Keep objective records. Use your empathic perception to anticipate political moves. Strategy 4. The secret support network. Identify other empaths in the environment. You recognize each other by the eyes. Create subtle communication codes. Support each other without feeding dramas. Strategy 5. The exit plan. Always have a long-term strategy. Develop skills that increase your independence. Build relationships outside the toxic environment. Never become dependent on those who mistreat you. Surviving isn't winning. Winning is becoming strong enough to choose where you want to be. Ninth strategic question. Which toxic environment in your life needs your action plan? The secret network of awakened empaths. You're not alone on this journey. Jung discovered something fascinating. Awakened empaths recognize each other instantly. There's a quality in presence and authenticity that can't be faked. They see each other through the eyes, Jung wrote. It's as if they share a secret language. This invisible network forms naturally. In professional environments, awakened empaths gravitate toward each other. They form silent alliances based on mutual respect. They create safety zones where they can be completely authentic. Network characteristics: direct communication, no games; support without dependence; mutual growth instead of competition;
collective protection against manipulators. By writing, "I am a strategic empath" in the comments, you send a signal to other empaths who are also on this journey. You will find each other. 10th connective question. Are you ready to be part of this network of conscious, empathic power? Synthesis, your transformation manifesto. Remember Jung's essential discovery. Your sensitivity isn't your weakness, it's your weapon. Let's recap what you discovered on this journey. Empaths aren't natural victims, they're strategists waiting to awaken. Your ability to read people is a scientifically proven gift. Transformation happens through shadow integration, not its denial. You can use your sensitivity strategically without losing your heart. Toxic environments change when you stop feeding them. There's a secret network of awakened empaths, and you can be part of it.
Your journey from now on. Next 7 days. Implement the emotional radar diary. Practice one boundary technique per day. Observe, without judging, how many times you nullify yourself to please. Next 30 days. Identify a toxic relationship and establish clear boundaries. Develop your empathic support network. Start using your perceptions strategically at work. Next 90 days, completely restructure how you relate to your sensitivity. Become a mentor to other empaths in transformation. Build a life where your depth is valued, not exploited. The empath's journey isn't from sensitivity to numbness. It's from unconscious absorption to conscious choice. From victimization to sovereignty, from self-sacrifice to strategic self-love. Jung proved that transformed empaths don't become different people. They become who they always were, before they learned they needed to be smaller to be accepted. Your call to inner revolution. The world doesn't need you to be smaller, quieter, or more convenient. The world needs you to become conscious of who you really are, a sophisticated processor of emotional information, a natural strategist of human relations, a warrior of authenticity. If you choose conscious transformation, if you're ready to stop apologizing for your intensity and start using it as the powerful tool it is, write in the comments, "I am a strategic empath." But don't stop there. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Your transformation can be the catalyst another empath needs to awaken. The world doesn't need more broken empaths waiting to be fixed. It needs more awakened empaths who know exactly who they are and aren't afraid to occupy that space completely. Jung spent decades studying people who seemed gentle and broken until something inside them awakened. His research proved that this transformation isn't just possible, it's inevitable. The only question is, will you direct this power, or will it direct you? If you recognized your own journey in this narrative, you're not alone, and you're definitely not broken. You're exactly where you need to be to become who you were always destined to be. Your sensitivity is your superpower. Now you know how to activate it consciously. The empath will awaken. The only question is, when? See you soon.